I've been trying to do about one video a week for smallballsuccess.com. I'm John Harris, and we have a website where we discuss how hitters used to ply their trade 100 years ago and more in the dead ball era. And also, more and more, we're trying to discuss pitching from yesteryear. I think that there are aspects of the game that have been tragically lost, and I think they could be brought back, especially to great profit for those who are of smaller stature. It's so hard for smaller boys to get into the game, certainly into the pitching game. And specifically, I want to talk about that some today. I made a video last week about plate coverage, which was maybe a little more geared toward hitters, and I'd like to do a part 2 and continue discussing that subject, but I thought I would squeeze one in here that's really just for the pitchers. Now, I'm having a hard time because I don't know if I have coronavirus or I had some kind of virus, and you're not going to see me move around very much in this video because my joints are very sore. My voice is a little hoarse. When you beat cancer in the first part of the year, you're not very concerned about a flu-like virus, believe me. I don't know what all the hoopla is about. I'm just staying home, taking it easy, and I think I can take it easy and do this video and make a few points about pitching. But I wanted to talk about this for a long time because my son was a pitcher. He pitched all the way through college. He was a submarine pitcher, so he didn't have a lot of velocity. He had a killer slider. But I always wondered why he didn't throw just above the top of the strike zone and see if he could sucker some guys to swing at the high pitch, especially because he was delivering from so low. They might track that and think it was going to be right in their wheelhouse and it would end up around their chin. But he, I think basically his answer was what I would have expected, that the pitching coaches don't want you to throw that way. Well, here's what I would say. I'm not just going to have time really to talk about maybe 2 samples of hitters that you would see taking batting practice or in the on-deck circle or something, or if you're in the game for more than one inning, maybe you see them more than once. But I think that you as a pitcher ought to be able to look at a hitter's strokes that he takes, even just in the on-deck circle. Just look at the way that he sets up in the box. Look at how he holds the bat. And I think you're going to be able to find all kinds of clues there that will tell you how you can pitch him. So let me start with what I think is the these days really the most common type of hitter that I've got a metal bat here. I've been doing more with metal bats since I've been doing a second edition of my book, Metal Ropes. So especially those of you who are pitching in a league where they use metal bats, I think you're going to see a lot of this kind of hitter. These are guys who like to have that rear elbow pointed up in the air. They like to load over their rear shoulder. You can't see my whole body here, but it doesn't matter because I can't move very much anyway. But you know how they take the big leg lift and they bring that foot down, and then down comes the barrel, and what I call a roller coaster swing. It's from top to bottom to the top again. And big tall guys especially like this because you got to have a lot of bat speed that way. And you can imagine that they like the ball down. So why do so many pitchers keep the ball down on those guys? Obviously one reason is that, well, if you're throwing in a metal bat league, you can beat a guy up around the letters, and yet he can just barely ping it off of his chest, and it's not going to break the bat. He's probably being played kind of deep by the outfielders because they know that if he gets a hold of one, it's going to go a long way. So he might hit a little duck snort that barely makes it out of the infield. But he gets positive reinforcement for that, and you who made a great pitch on him, you get none. You get nothing for that. But I still think in the long run it would pay off to bust this guy up here. I just don't see how he can even get much of the handle on a bat if he's doing this, and you know, the swing. We talked last time about how in the plate coverage thing, I didn't use it in these terms, but I should have. There's a north-south axis in the swing, and there's an east-west axis. Well, the movement along the north-south axis with this business is so severe, up and down and up again, that you're going to have a lot of, I think, a lot of luck pitching a guy like that high. Now, his east-west axis, he's able to, as the ball moves farther out from his hands, he's able to get away from the handle and get more of the barrel on it. So you might get into trouble if you try to pitch him high and you get it out over the plate, or even on the outside corner of the plate. He's probably still going to, if he's up on top of the plate, he's going to pull the one that's even on the outside corner. And a lot of these guys will be right on top of the plate with their body armor and everything protecting them. So they're dead pull hitters. They really want you to try to pitch them outside, because that's the one that they're going to pull. If you're going to pitch them low, which is, as I've just said, I think that's the danger zone, but I would certainly pitch them low and away, because, again, they're reaching, they're going so far up and down in that north-south axis that the bat enters that little part of the arc where it can reach the low outside corner. I can't get it all in the camera here, but let's say this is the low outside corner. The bat enters this and then comes out of it very, very quickly. There's not much time that the barrel spins in that little arc at all. So if you're throwing hard low and away, you're going to beat the bat to that spot. And if you're throwing slow, the bat is going to beat you to that spot, and it's going to be coming up and over the pitch before the ball gets to the plate. So that a guy who hits with that kind of swing, who hits a low away pitch solidly, is going to have to time it just right. He doesn't have any margin for error when he's covering that low away quadrant. And even at that, because he is coming down so steeply, I've seen guys, you know, like Ryan Howard, who can, Ryan was really good, and Jim Thome too, different sort of a swing, but they both had pretty steep barrels. They're coming down on the ball, and you can come down, if you're a hitter like that, you get the outside pitch and sort of flip it over the opposite field fence. But it takes a lot of power to do that, and more often than not, those balls are going to go foul. So I like the low away corner, really anything that's high, and especially high and inside too. And if you get, obviously, you know, if you feel that you're better at one spot than the other, then if you have a good fastball, then work the guy over, start him out high and inside, and then go low away. Maybe with something off speed, but the fastball too will be fine. But start here and then go down there. If you know you like your change-up or something that you could throw low and away, if you're better with that, then start there, and then he's looking there. So pop him up here with your not-so-good fastball, but he'll still miss it or foul it off because he's not looking there. So you can, those are two good places for the roller coaster hitter. Now, another kind of hitter, and this is all I'll have time for today, but this is a much less common kind of hitter these days, and I wish they'd make a comeback. I used to watch Tommy LaStella play here in Rome, Georgia, when he was on the Rome Braves, and I still love to watch Tommy on TV. He's the kind of guy who has, not many of them, has the bat, the handle down around the back armpit, much more of a level swing. When you shoot your hands out of that rear armpit, they're leading the barrel, and you can stay inside of the ball. If the pitch is inside of you, you can maybe push it to the opposite field. If it's outside, you can push your hands out a little farther and reach it. I think, actually, surprisingly, it seems to me that a hitter like that might be beaten with a low inside pitch, because unlike the guy with his elbow up in the air, this is not a hitter who really, he's not traveling down real hard in that north-south axis. He's better in the east-west axis. He's better inside and outside. So I think, especially if I had the good fastball, I would try to get him low and in. Or certainly if, I'm a right-hander with a good slider, get him to hit it off his ankle. A hitter like that, if he's going to pull the ball though, and even Tommy LaStella, so many guys, you see the big shift on them, it's always to the pull side. Why don't hitters like this use the opposite field more? But it does seem that even they like to pull in today's game. So if you can't tell that by watching their warm-up swings, maybe you can tell it after you've pitched to them once or twice. But if it's obvious that they want to pull, then you can go low and away again, because that whole dynamic is going to be back in play. If the ball is a little bit slow, then their barrel is going to be in and out of that arc of the swing so fast that the barrel is going to be traveling away from the pitch before it gets there. Where if you have a good fastball and you're pitching low and away, then they're going to foul it off if they get it at all. They're not going to keep it fair, or you're just going to get it past them. The ball will be in the catcher's mitt before their barrel gets into that little zone where they can actually hit it. I still, too, though, I think a hitter like this should be better with the high pitch, but I still think there's not enough high pitching that goes on, and I don't know especially why even a hitter like this, why couldn't you pitch him up and in? He's the one that would worry me the most would be the guy who can inside out the ball. He can hit it almost off of his chest. He can keep his hands inside of the ball and come in late with the barrel and push the ball the other way. But he's going to beat me if I've already got runners on base and it's late innings, and I'm a reliever and I really don't want that guy in second to score. Then this guy worries me. But if I'm worried about a guy hitting a long ball, again, same hitter, same swing, he might land a single over the shortstop, but he's not going to, he's not even going to get an extra base hit off of me on that pitch. So I think up and in works well against anybody, and especially nowadays because nobody likes to inside out the ball. They're all pull hitters. You as a pitcher can let that overconfidence that the hitters seem to have, let that work for you. They're all stepping up there with their chests popping their buttons. They're just so confident that they're going to get the big hit. Great. Let them think that way. And give them pitches in places that they up and in, low and away, where they just can't do anything but foul it off or swing right through it. That makes your job as a pitcher a lot easier.